Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Spotlight TV with your host, Scorpinosis Nightfire. Tonight, we bring into the light art, education, culture, history, music, and a little bit of charity. Our guests are Indea Vaher, founder of Sunrise Mansion, esteemed author Dr. Bryan Mnemonic, founder of Virtual Harlem and Virtual Mara, JL Zinner, founder of the Buddywalk here in Second Life, as well as the singer and artist WaltKeys. I am your announcer, Noni Zoo, and here is your host, Scorpinosis Nightfire.
Now, our first guest has been documented and recognized internationally as a genuine, as a genuine illustration of the history and tradition of African American Southern culture. Indea creates paintings that celebrate the common traditions of the historical African American cultures. She's well known for her brilliant coloring, intricate human and landscape forms, and themes that represent life in the Sea Islands regions and the bayous of Louisiana. Please give a very warm Spotlight TV welcome to Indea Vaher. Indea, thank you for being on Spotlight TV with us tonight.
It's great being here. Thank you.
Oh, well, we're very happy to have you. Now, for our viewers who are hearing about you for the first time, please tell us exactly what this is all about.
I use my art in Second Life as a means to open the door to a specific area of African American history. My art is used primarily to educate people about the Gullah culture and the people of the Sea Islands. And the Sea Islands is commonly considered North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and parts of Florida, down to Jacksonville. And this culture is known by very few outside of this region. And I'm trying to promote, I'm not trying to promote my art here, but use it to bring exposure to this very important and endangered way of life. And I say it's endangered because developers are rapidly moving out the native indigenous residents here and destroying so much of the valuable history along with all the development that they have here. And the reason why it's so valuable is because there's a very unique connection with Africa as the Gullah people have been able to preserve much of the African heritage because of geography. And that's due to the islands and the isolation of the islands. So it's so important that we preserve so much of this link that we have. And it's a pure link because it was, let's say, bridges were not built in this area until the late 1940s. So you have almost 400 years of history that's been preserved here among the people and passed down traditionally.
Well, let me just start out by saying what's amazing about what you've shared is that, and you know, I'm very honest with our audience and with our viewers, and as an African-American man, I'm really not fully aware of how deep and rich that information is. So just hearing you say that just reminds me how important it is that everybody get this information that you're sharing. The second thing is that I think a lot of times we make the mistake of thinking if we're getting information about a culture that's not our own, that it doesn't necessarily pertain to us. And I think people miss the fact that what's huge about understanding yourself is understanding your neighbor. So I'm hoping we can communicate to people maybe that aren't African American, that a big part of who they are is directly related to who we are too, because we're all interconnected. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, Scorpius. This is not just an African American thing. This is an American thing. This is a world thing. We're all connected, and when we recognize that we have this very special connection, we will learn how to live better how to live in this world together and how to coexist peacefully. One of the things about this culture is how we have taken, let's say, the Creole-based, English-based language and mixed it with the African languages. And so you really do have a coming together in all of this. It's very special in that we do need to look beyond just the African American interest in this, because it's going to take that to preserve us. It's going to take everybody taking an interest in this and how special this is to keep it alive, because money talks. And because these are coastal areas, we know waterfront property is extremely valuable, and it's actually being, I don't know how to say this any other way, but it's being prostituted or pimped out.
Mm-hmm.
It's awful, you know. So this is one of the things I thought that I could bring attention to, and using my artwork as a vehicle to do that.
Okay, and I was about to say the art's almost it's a contact point, I guess, or an initiation point to start dialogue. If that's really is that what it's doing?
Exactly. I mean, I have been blessed as an artist, and I've had a very prosperous career as an artist, and it's been very good to me. I'm not in Second Life to promote my artwork or to try to have a career from artwork. My artwork is something that is a dialogue, is a starting point for a dialogue. I want you to come to my gallery. I want you to look at my artwork, and then I want you to stay and I want you to look around at some of the installations that I have put up there,
Mm-hmm.
and I want you to think about it. I want you to meditate on it, and I want you to take it back to your family and your friends, and I want you to talk about it, you know,
Yeah.
and then if you have an opportunity to do something about it.
Well, that's just. I mean, I think that is. Uh, as I said earlier, I think that's very rich, and I think that there's so much we can learn about ourselves as we really embrace the diversity and richness of how other people got where they are, and that I think helps us in this whole forward process of where we're all trying to go together. Because unless we go together, we're not going to go at all, are we?
Oh, I absolutely agree. Absolutely. That's one of the things that I really love to see, because I have so many people from all over the world come to the sim, and they are so excited and they're so interested in what I'm doing, and they're so supportive, which is what is my motivating factor in keeping this going and keeping this alive, because people are interested in it.
Mm.
And it's like any other culture, that it's the Italian American culture, um, the Greek culture in America. I mean, we all have our roots. When we all came here, one way or another, I mean, we just came through a different means. And one of the things that I do have on the sim is the Middle Passage experience. And the Middle Passage experience is not an easy one to deal with on the sim. However, it is the truth. It is factual, and it's so much that so many people don't know anything about there. So, you know, we have a we have a slave ship there that's docked and, and exhibits. We talk a little bit about in the exhibits the African wars and how the different tribes and the different African wars helped to facilitate the capture of enslaved Africans that came to this country. So we also talk a little bit about revolt. We talk about religion. We talk about midwives. There are a lot of things there that I like to focus on, and and I like for people to just come in and come back again and again, because it's not something that you can absorb in one trip. So all of this, I think, contributes to our a healthier us as a human race, not just in this country. you know.
Well, I think that what we're going to do, India, is we're going to take a small break, and I've got one more thing I want to hit with you because you cover some things I think that are just incredibly important for our audience. So we'll be back
Okay.
with more from India after these messages.
Expect the exceptional. Exhilarate Studios.
Okay, now one of the things that you hit upon, India, you mentioned that over on the sim, you guys actually have a slave ship set up. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes, yes, you did. We do have a
Okay.
ship there, and around the ship are um, exhibits or images, and that you can touch. You can get note cards. You can get information. We start with the Middle Passage. We talk about the financial significance of it, how it started. We talk about the African wars, as I mentioned earlier. We talk about daily life, what it was like on these ships. We also, in the horrific circumstances behind that, what it was like. We also talk about revolt, and um, and also we do a little bit on the auction process.
Okay.
So we cover that.
Well, one of the things that I think that there's a tremendous opportunity for here is whenever we talk about this portion of Black history, there's this uncomfort, and understandably so, I think that comes over people that makes this kind of something that a lot of people may not want to talk about. The that dark history of slavery tends to be something that people would rather maybe we kind of internally say, yeah, we know it was there, it was bad, but that's not happening right now. And the folks who did that aren't here right now. So let's just kind of let that go. But I think that if we're able to look at that together, and you help me with this, India, I think if we're able to look at that together and really deal with the generational impact of that, the reality of who that has made us today, and do it without condemning, people for the past that maybe weren't there, but everybody being responsible for the consequences of that. Maybe we can even help people deal with the discomfort they feel when you get into maybe being the only, let's say, non-African American person at a tour or at a, display when they're talking about how bad slavery was. Does that make sense?
It does make sense to me, and without using, I hate to use this cliche that those who forget the past are destined to relive it. However, I think it's just as important as the Hebrew Holocaust. I think it's just as important as even remember what happened with the Spartans. I mean, this is a part of our history.
Mm-hmm.
This is also a part that if you even want to talk about natural selection, where only the strong survive. This is something that our youth need to know, that you are the product of the strongest and the best of that made it to this land. because not everybody could take
Wow.
that voyage, and not everybody could survive that voyage. So you need to understand through natural selection, your DNA is one of uh, the best, okay, that made it here. But however,
Wow.
if you do understand this, and once you do understand the history behind this, you will understand that you can't point fingers at any particular race or person, not actually, because financially, systematically, there were certain systems that were put into place globally that caused this to happen, okay? Now, once we
Mm-hmm.
came to this country, of course, um, well, of course, we all know the horrors of that particular history, but there was a global system put in place there that facilitated certain markets, just like you look at the markets today. And when I
Mm-hmm.
say, and I don't want to, go over on my time here, but when I say those that forget the past are destined to relive it, if you just look at our prison system today, you'll see some of the same laws and some of the same systems that were set into place at that particular time that's going
Mm-hmm.
on right now. It's really
Right.
great to romanticize our history of Northern Africa, our history of the great kings and queens of Egypt, but in all actuality, we come from West Africa. In all actuality, there are so many different things that we were pulled for. We were agronomists, and which means that we were engineers in hydrology, which is using the marshes and the waterlands to grow rice, which was a thriving culture. Everybody knows about cotton, but they don't know about rice and indigo, and how that was
Mm-hmm.
really a great monetary advantage to making this country and giving this country the wealth that it has to sit on today. There is a reason
Wow.
why this is the richest country in the world, or the wealthiest, because of that system of free labor and bringing in these engineers. Also, a thing that we need to understand is that women were on an equal level in this engineering process. So there are so many things that we do need to know about this, and we don't need to close our eyes. No, it wasn't just Uncle Ben and Aunt Jemima. There was a whole lot behind that when they talk about rice.
You
Okay?
know, hey, I'm you've you dropped so much knowledge here that this is what we need to do. We have got to have you come back and um, maybe even on an extended segment, just really because there's some things I wanted to ask you about, and I'll one of them we won't be able to get to it now, but just think about it for next time. I wanted to talk
Okay.
a little bit about the Django controversy and the impact of whether the historicity of it was good, was bad, and all of that. But
Oh,
please
yes.
promise me,
Yes.
India, you will come back and talk with us again.
I would love to, and I also want to mention quickly is that about Bryan, I'm also the administrator for Virtual Harlem and Virtual Mantra, which has been a wonderful experience. I've been doing that 2 years with Dr. Carter, and I really love it there. And so I just want to mention that I do that as well here in Second Life, and it's a great place.
Not a problem. And uh, don't leave the building yet because we may, pull from you again. So can you hang around with us for a little bit?
Sure, sure, I'll be here. I'll be here in the summer.
Absolutely. And we'll be back with our next guest after these messages.
Pulse Television Network. Programming you can feel.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We are back. Now, our next guest received his PhD at the University of Missouri, Columbia, and is an assistant professor in African Studies, specializing in African American literature of the 20th century with a primary focus on the Harlem Renaissance and a secondary emphasis on digital culture. He's published numerous articles on his doctoral project, Virtual Harlem, and has presented it at locations around the world. His research focuses on advanced visualization and how sustained and varied digital communication affects students' retention and engagement in literature courses taught both online and face-to-face. Please give a warm spotlight welcome to a guest that has one of the coolest names that we've had on the show, Dr. Bryan Mnemonic. Dr. Mnemonic, welcome to Spotlight TV.
Well, thank you very, very much for having me.
So, Dr. Mnemonic, please tell us a little bit about the work that you're doing right now.
Well, the Virtual Harlem project began way back before Second Life was born. It was a part of my doctoral thesis and project back in 1996 when this brand new technology was coming on the market called virtual reality. And I was asked to submit a proposal to make use of this technology in my literature courses. I teach African American literature, as you mentioned, of the early 20th century, and I wanted my students to be able to experience the Harlem Renaissance in ways that had not necessarily been done before. And so the Virtual Harlem Project was born. Back then, we were using pretty high-end SGI supercomputers, and we had a team of about 10 people that were working on this project on a huge budget. And we made use of pretty high-end displays called a cave unit, which is basically a 10 by 10 square foot room that you stand inside, and you wear active 3D glasses, and the environment literally surrounds you. So after doing that for a number of years and connecting these high-end cave units around the world to one another, we basically sort of ran out of money, and we needed to find a less expensive, more portable environment in which to interact and to port the Virtual Harlem project. So about that time, around 2005, Second Life was coming into its own. And in 2005, 2006, we ported Virtual Harlem over to Second Life, and it has blossomed since then. A few years later, we had the wonderful opportunity to get some funding from the government of Norway, as well as from the University of Paris for Sorbonne, and they funded the development of Virtual Montmartre, because it's really impossible to talk about the Harlem Renaissance without also talking about things that were going on in Paris during the same time period, and I'm talking about the 1920s Jazz Age Harlem Renaissance. And we've been thriving here in Second Life for a number of years with the help of Indea and many of the entertainers and artists and students that have been doing projects within this world.
You know, the first thing that I guess comes to my mind with everything you just said is, what can we do in addition to a show like this to let more people know what it is that you guys are doing? Because this information and just the fact that all of this is out there is incredible, and I don't think that the general public is as aware of this as they should be.
Well, when you say the general public, I assume you might mean the SL public, or I'm not sure if you mean the public outside of SL.
Yeah, we're speaking just the general SL public right now.
Yeah, the general SL public, well, there's a very active educators list that actually was very, very active between 2005 and just another year, just about a year ago. This was just before Linden raised their rates for education and nonprofits, which has really, in a sense, driven many of the educators out of Second Life. There are some amazing educational projects that are and were going on here, but because of the market and cost have sort of dwindled here in this environment.
Okay, what I'd like to do, Doctor, is we're going to take a small break and come right back. And can we pick it up right there, please?
We sure can. Thanks.
Okay. We'll be back with Dr. Mnemonic after these messages.
The Buddywalk was established in 1995 by the National Down Syndrome Society to celebrate Down syndrome awareness and to promote acceptance and inclusion of people with Down syndrome. It is also the world's most widely recognized public awareness program for the Down syndrome community. Last year, in real life, there were over 295 Buddywalks worldwide.
There's a little girl, she says everything without words.
The Second Life Buddywalk is done in conjunction with the NDSS, National Down Syndrome Society, and takes place around World Down Syndrome Day.
You bring me home.
All donations collected from this event are given directly to the NDSS. They will be used for supporting the National Down Syndrome Society's education, research, and advocacy efforts on behalf of more than 400,000 individuals with Down syndrome in the United States.
Hearts will heal.
The National Down Syndrome Society envisions a world in which all people with Down syndrome have the opportunity to enhance their quality of life, realize their life aspirations, and become valued member of welcoming communities.
Happening all around me now.
21 March 2013 marks the 8th anniversary of the World Down Syndrome Day, a global awareness day which has been officially observed by the United Nations since 2012. Each year, the voice of people with Down syndrome and those who live and work with them grows louder.
Find you anywhere. Oh, that is long. Oh, I'm waiting for time to come. Broken.
This year, join other Buddy Walkers, learn fun facts, and enjoy the connected community here on the SL Buddywalk Sim. From March 17th through March 31st, you can see all the designers' exclusives only here in SL. In the past 4 years, Buddywalk has only been a live music festival, but this year they've decided to get all of the community involved. You can find more information on the slbuddywalk.org, and we want to see over 1 million linden or more raised, so make sure you come down. Down Syndrome International encourages our friends all over the world to choose your own themes, activities, and events to help raise awareness of what Down syndrome is, what it means to have Down syndrome, and how people with Down syndrome play a vital role in our lives and communities. Join us this year as many artists and DJs lend their time and creativity on World Down Syndrome Day, March 21st. The live music festival, you can see artists here in SL like Mankind Tracer, Colorful Quiet, Maximilian Clean, and The Follow, who has provided us with a lovely song for this video. They play at 5 p.m. From the Pulse TV network, thank you for watching, and we will see you at the Buddy Walk.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Spotlight TV. Now, one of the things I wanted to ask right at that break was obviously when you guys started this project, Doctor, you guys had an idea of what you wanted to accomplish. And how has what you set out to do measured up to what has actually been done as a result of this project when you compare the two things?
It's actually panned out very, very well. One of the things, or one of the goals that I had in mind was that this project couldn't just be a project filled with students and educators or researchers. There had to be some connection to the community. And like I said, with the help of Indea and some of the folks that she's worked with and many of the entertainers, that community connection has really evolved. There are machinimators on Virtual Harlem. There are entertainers like Walt and many other, Jackie Lefko and many others that have performed there. There are artists that not only do exhibits there, but also teach and display their works there. So the community connection was so very important, because basically what that does is it mimics that same sort of connection that was thriving during the 1920s when jazz artists and writers were going back and forth between the United States and Paris and making these connections and these reciprocal connections, bringing information back and forth. And that's how jazz evolved, not only there, but also how many of the art forms came to the United States.
Well, again, I think that it's very easy to miss how inclusive this is, not just of African-American culture, but what you're saying, like we discussed with Indea, is that this has sort of a ripple effect that affects everybody.
Oh, it really does. I mean, this environment not only affects research, but it also affects how entertainers are performing in the connection that they have with their audiences. We've done a lot of simulcasts whereby we're doing something like this at both a Second Life venue, but then displaying this on huge screens in a real life venue and having that connection in world and out of world. So the possibilities were endless during the heyday of Virtual Harlem. The variety of events and even games being developed there. So it's really been a wonderful ride.
Well, one of the things that is a major emphasis for us here at Pulse TV and Spotlight is the way in which Second Life, while being, a source of recreation and escape for many people, it's a tremendous tool that's more than just a game. And what you've done, Doctor, and Indea and others in the educational field and in the arts and some of these other territories, you guys have really, I think, underscored that point fantastically. And what I would like to do is I would also love to extend the invitation to you as well, to have you come back and for us to do something extensively, because a lot of our clients in First Life that are really starting to get into how this environment can benefit what they're doing in the major label industry and in the film industry and in business would be blown away by the things that we're discussing here through this format. So would you please also come back and visit with us again and just expound upon these things further for our audience, and even some people we want to bring in from outside of Second Life that would be amazed by what you're sharing?
Would love to, and I welcome the opportunity to do so. So please just let me know.
Well, thank you very much. And please give a warm round of applause for Dr. Mnemonic and also Indea as well. And we will be back with more. It's just going to keep getting better, guys, after these messages.
Expect the exceptional. Wave Studios.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Now, the Buddywalk was established in 1995 by the National Down Syndrome Society to celebrate Down syndrome awareness and to promote acceptance and inclusion of people with Down syndrome. It's the world's most widely recognized public awareness program for the Down syndrome community. Last year in First Life, there were over 295 Buddy Walks worldwide. And the Second Life Buddy Walk is done in conjunction with the National Down Syndrome Society and takes place around World Down Syndrome Day. And we are very honored to have as our guest Buddy Walk in SL organizer, JL Zinner. JL, welcome to Spotlight TV.
Thank you guys so much for having me here too, to be able to speak about the Buddy Walk.
Well, first off, I think that one of the things that has happened is that there seems to be, you would know better than I, there seems to be a growing awareness because of things like the Buddy Walk about Down syndrome that is really positive. Now, is that just something that looks like more people are getting involved, or is it actually happening that way?
Oh, it's actually happening that way. Each year we get more and more walks around the country and actually around the world too. And it's growing so fast. And we actually, back in 2008, I think we were like the number 5 most growing awareness out of all the awareness walks. So it's gaining a lot of momentum. And, being in Second Life is just giving us even more momentum. It's a new medium.
Once again, we see how this is just such an incredible tool. And we have a saying here, it's nothing original, but it's very true. One life, different interfaces. And I think that's really what Second Life really can be. An extension of our first life, just a different way to approach it. Tell me, JL, how did you actually get involved in this? I mean, what makes this so close to home for you?
Well, actually, I run a real-life Buddy Walk, and I've been doing that for the past 10 years now. And what sparked my interest in that was I have a son who is now 11 who has Down syndrome. And when he was born, it was kind of a sad situation. I really didn't get very many congratulations. I didn't get very many people telling me, we're happy you have this child. And that's one of the things that we're trying to change through the awareness, is that these kids, we've learned through experience that if you give them the right tools and you give them the opportunity, they can learn just like any other regular kid can. And one of the main goals of the Buddy Walk is awareness. And we want to bring the awareness to that. Give these kids a chance. Let them show you what they can do, and don't live into the stereotype that's been driven the past, decade or couple decades.
Well, my next question was going to be, what are some of the misconceptions that we in the general public have that the awareness really helps to clear up?
I think one of the biggest things is that one of the biggest fears as a parent is that our kids are never going to learn to talk or walk or drive a car or do a lot of things that normal kids do. And one of the things that we've been learning through the past couple decades is that these kids, if you give them a chance and give them the tools, they can do a lot of the things that other typical kids can do. They just sometimes take a little bit longer to learn that way. And it's kind of becoming, because of the perception over the last 25, 30 years, is coming that if we do give them a chance, they might be able to do some of these things. In the past, a lot of times they were put into institutions and they were never given any of those opportunities. So they never learned. And that is one of the great things about modern technology and modern thinking, is that we're giving these kids a chance and they're doing it and they're doing all these amazing things.
You know, it's amazing because what I hear you saying, and I was about to say wow, but my staff reminds me how much I say wow all the time. But that's because I'm genuinely excited about some of the things that I'm hearing. And so I'll replace wow and just say it's amazing because yeah, okay. They're saying try awesome. Well, it's amazing that people rely upon the sometimes the misinformation of the past to continue to influence how we think now when there's information that really could enlighten us. And that's why it's really good what you guys are doing, because if it wasn't for this awareness, we would continue to propagate these old ideas that basically came when people didn't have the right information.
Exactly. Yeah, that is one of the things. And Second Life is a different kind of a medium to do that with, because obviously in a real world buddy walk, we have a lot of individuals with Down syndrome, and you can see them and you can see how they're interacting and talking and how they're living a full life. But in Second Life, because all of our avatars are perfect creatures, you kind of don't have that. So to kind of put in more of, give everybody more of getting rid of some of those stereotypes. Instead, we kind of have signs around, and we have like a little chat spammer bot that kind of gives out different tips and I don't want to say tips, but kind of breaks some of the myths of the past that people have with individuals with Down syndrome.
You touched upon something. I often wonder if alien intelligence, will say, had Second Life as its only reference for what people are like. I mean, holy smokes. Um, they would think everybody has an idea of perfection that is just simply on how we look on the outside. Because it's amazing that no matter how beautiful we make this digital image of ourselves, it doesn't curtail the person who can be so ugly on the inside sometimes. And I think that it's because we place so much superficial value on external things that we truly miss out on the richness and the amazing insight that you are helping people understand through these awareness programs that basically children have with or without Down syndrome.
Oh yeah, and I'm hoping to bring that to the walk. I mean, we do have a live music festival, so we have a lot of people that may not know about Down syndrome, or have heard of it but never have seen it or interacted with it. So I'm kind of hoping that with the media that's around the stage and around the sim, that they may get some sort of intuition of what individuals can do versus what the stereotype says that they can't do.
Well, let me ask you, JL, what are some things that just the average person like myself or the viewers can do to help with this cause?
Oh, come to the walk. Come over. Come see the sim. The sim is gorgeous. We've been working super, super hard to get everything ready. And we would love to have everybody, just participate. If they can give a couple lindens to the cause, that would be wonderful too. But really, just to participate and to be there and to show support of individuals. There's also, I want to really quickly let you know, there's an exhibit there also that's called I Have a Voice. And it's not necessarily associated with the Buddy Walk, but is associated with Down syndrome. And it's another group that I work with in the real world called Gigi's Playhouse. And they have this I Have a Voice kind of installation that goes and travels throughout the real world. And so we've made a little virtual installation, and it's just neat to see. And it's again, it's just it celebrates what these kids are doing now. Like, the 3-year-old that's reading, because a lot of people think, oh, well, they can't read. Well, they're reading at 3. They're driving cars at 16, just like regular kids. So just come, look at everything, see it. Be great.
That is awesome. Well, JL, thank you so much for coming on the show, for enlightening me, and I'm very sure the viewers and the folks in the audience. And, I can't help it. We just have a great show tonight, so I need everybody to come back. Will you please come back and keep us updated and make sure that we stay on top of what we can do when it comes to helping to enlighten people on this issue?
Oh, yeah. And I think you guys should come do a little travel segments. Come over to the walk when everything's going on. The sim actually opens on the 17th, so we'd love to have you. And I want to say a really, really quick thank you to my partner who's been helping me, Lily, over at Immerse. She's been helping me organize all of the exhibitors and the sponsors that are going to be there, so I want to give a little bit of thank you to her. And we'd love to have you come over and see it and party with us.
We're going to do it. And don't forget. Is there a web address or anything in particular that you also may want to let the audience know to check out in regards to this?
Yes, we have our own website. It's slbuddywalk.org, and we are also on Facebook, just Facebook/SL Buddywalk.
Very good, guys. Let's give it up for JL. And we'll be back with our last, but certainly not least guest after these messages.
The Buddywalk was established in 1995 by the National Down Syndrome Society to celebrate Down syndrome awareness and to promote acceptance and inclusion of people with Down syndrome. It is also the world's most widely recognized public awareness program for the Down syndrome community. Last year, in real life, there were over 295 Buddywalks worldwide.
There's a little girl, she says everything without words.
The Second Life Buddywalk is done in conjunction with the NDSS, National Down Syndrome Society, and takes place around World Down Syndrome Day.
You bring me home.
All donations collected from this event are given directly to the NDSS. They will be used for supporting the National Down Syndrome Society's education, research, and advocacy efforts on behalf of more than 400,000 individuals with Down syndrome in the United States.
Hearts will heal.
The National Down Syndrome Society envisions a world in which all people with Down syndrome have the opportunity to enhance their quality of life, realize their life aspirations, and become valued member of welcoming communities.
Happening all around me now.
21 March 2013 marks the 8th anniversary of the World Down Syndrome Day, a global awareness day which has been officially observed by the United Nations since 2012. Each year, the voice of people with Down syndrome and those who live and work with them grows louder.
Find you anywhere. Oh, that is long. Oh, I'm waiting for time to come. Broken.
This year, join other Buddy Walkers, learn fun facts, and enjoy the connected community here on the SL Buddywalk Sim. From March 17th through March 31st, you can see all the designers' exclusives only here in SL. In the past 4 years, Buddywalk has only been a live music festival, but this year they've decided to get all of the community involved. You can find more information on the slbuddywalk.org, and we want to see over 1 million linden or more raised, so make sure you come down. Down Syndrome International encourages our friends all over the world to choose your own themes, activities, and events to help raise awareness of what Down syndrome is, what it means to have Down syndrome, and how people with Down syndrome play a vital role in our lives and communities. Join us this year as many artists and DJs lend their time and creativity on World Down Syndrome Day, March 21st. The live music festival, you can see artists here in SL like Mankind Tracer, Colorful Quiet, Maximilian Clean, and The Follow, who has provided us with a lovely song for this video. They play at 5 p.m. From the Pulse TV network, thank you for watching, and we will see you at the Buddywalk.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Now, our next guest is a composer and keyboardist that has been performing music in SL since January 2010. In the past several years, he's began exhibiting his real-life artwork in SL, and his window paintings are created with acrylic paint on real windows. I think that you really just would not believe that our guest WaltKeys has been just entertaining folks not only musically but also with his art as well. So please, a very warm spotlight welcome to our guest WaltKeys Faith. WaltKeys, thank you for being here at Spotlight TV.
Thank you so much, Scorp. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Well, you know, I've got to tell you, I'm, I guess, kind of a musician, and I don't have the ability to bounce between those two forms like that. Man, that's really cool.
It's a challenge. I think even more so to bounce back and forth from, you know, the whole creative process to living in the real world. The creative process is really, to me anyway, the same, whether I'm working on my artwork or I'm working on my music.
Well, how did the Second Life portion of this come into being a part of your expression, just period?
I was invited into Second Life through a saxophone writer friend named Trouser Boa, and he got me started playing shows in Second Life, and it became a terrific venue for me to experiment with my compositions. I began using a program called Band in the Box, which provided a bass and drums, very realistic bass and drums. And I set up 4 keyboards in my home. And I began immediately working on arranging and writing, using piano, organ, strings, horns, whatever sounds I could call up on these keyboards, and doing it all in real time, and basically improvising in much the same way that, you know, I can't compare myself to Bach, but Johann Sebastian Bach would very often play his music during a church service, and then after the service run upstairs and write it down. And I found that that same process really works for me. If I just sit down, allow the inspiration to come through me, you know, just be open to it, you know, be open to what God has given me as a gift, and be open to my experiences that I experience every day, the people I know, the music I listen to, and allow that to come through me. And then just write it down as fast as I can before I forget it.
That's cool. Well, now, you've actually currently got some art on exhibition right now, don't you?
Yes. I'm grateful to Indea and Bryan because they invited me to open a gallery in Montmartre. And so I did. I opened up a gallery there, and Indea explained to me of course I knew the relationship between Paris and Harlem during the 20s. And she asked that I focus, stylistically focus on that period when I played. But it started out to be like that, and moved my artwork into a gallery. But when you play music in America, like Indea said, our history is the history of us all, and so much of what we consider American music comes from Black culture. But as I've played it, I've been playing music for 36 years. I've been fortunate enough to play just about every genre that American music entails. So, including being, the musical director at a gospel church in Philadelphia. So, when you look at what has evolved in American music, you literally, when I say I play jazz, I'm very privileged to be able to play just about any genre that American music has produced over the years.
That's, the way you brought up the connectivity of all that, man, that's really a heavy thing. And, one of the things that we don't want to forget is the fact that you also have your art available in SL as well as First Life for sale. That's correct, isn't it?
That is correct. We touched just briefly about the how our avatars present one image, and sometimes in real life that image is masked. And I have to admit that I'm very transparent in Second Life. WaltKeys is WaltKeys, if you meet me in real life, you meet the same guy you see sitting here. And so, when I bring my artwork to Second Life, I bring my music to Second Life, it's very real, it's very tangible, and I am who I am. And I recognize the value of being able to pop in world and pretend and, have that veil to hide behind and enjoy that. That's a kick too. But I've just found it to be a place where I can be transparent and just do what I do in real life. My artwork is for sale in real life. What I do is photograph the real paintings, and I make them available to people in Second Life. And the music that I perform in Second Life is also being performed in real life as well.
That's very cool. Well, now, if I'm not mistaken, you're actually going to do something for us tonight.
Yeah. I chose a song that I composed a few years back, and it's a song that's called Another Second Chance. And originally the theme was pertained to relationships, because if you're in a relationship, you're either getting a second chance or you're giving a second chance. But the overall theme that has been running through this show, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it, is that idea of our interconnection. Indea brought it up, Bryan brings it up, and certainly JL brings it up in, not only culturally, but people with special needs. And I just want to reiterate that same theme. This song, when I wrote it, I chose kind of a Latin samba feel, but I also tried to incorporate elements of rock and roll, gospel. I think all those things are important, and I just want to acknowledge that theme of interdependence tonight. I'm totally digging it.
Well, we're going to take our last commercial break and come back and have WaltKeys share that with us. We'll be back after these messages.
Pulse Television Network. Programming you can feel.
All right, everybody, we are back, and we are at the part of the show that thrills me like none other. I give you our guest, Mr. WaltKeys Faith, doing one of his songs for us. Take it away, Walt. right. Everybody, please give it a double for WaltKeys. And this is a fantastic time to thank our guests, JL, Dr. Mnemonic, and Indea. You guys were amazing. It was an amazing show because of you and the team. Thank you guys very much. And please remember, we'll be back here next week. And if it's spotlight worthy, you'll see it here on Spotlight TV. Thank you and good night.
Goodbye. Bye. Bye-bye. Goodbye. Bye. Bye-bye. Bye. Goodbye. Bye-bye. Goodbye. Bye. Bye-bye.